So I have to come to some sort of conclusion. Now, at the moment, Parliament is on its recess. This one's a bit of a holiday. In fact, bless them, they've even had a couple of days earlier to their extension. However, I really do question the fact that, considering the deadline creeps ever closer, because remember, we have to have a solid proposal put for and negotiated to the EU by October, so it can be passed, sent to the various other countries as well, so they can approve it as well. And yet we've spent 2 years, or the Conservative Party has spent 2 years, basically doing nothing. Now, this conclusion that I've come to basically means the Brexiteers are terrified of paper. They just seem to not be able to put pen to paper and show a plan. And we've gone over, like, I will give Theresa May all the flack she deserves, but at the end of the day, she did her, Chequers agreement. Yeah, it's terrible, but at least it's some sort of plan. It is an idea of the government's position of what it wants to do to take to Europe, saying this is what we want, this is what we would like to negotiate you with, and the EU's going to turn it down because we've been over that, because it's massively cherry picking. The EU has been very open and straight from day one, basically saying you cannot cherry pick the customs union or the cherry market. You are either in it or you are out of it. There is no in between. So good for the EU, at least, for having a firm negotiating position from day one. The problem is we didn't have one. Why? Because the Brexiteers' plan has basically been, it's not going to work. It's going to be absolutely terrible. Only a couple of, in fact, was it a couple of days ago now? Yeah, Jacob Rees-Mogg was on a Channel 4 programme, and he was like, the guy was like, look, if Brexit doesn't work, would you resign? He was like, oh no, I won't resign, that'll be up to the people in my constituency. Jacob Rees-Mogg is in a Conservative safe seat. The chances of him losing that seat, even for a bad decision by him or the Conservative Party, are huge. But it shows that these people are not principled. Because if you were staking your entire political career, as many of these Brexiteers are, on that Brexit is going to be this amazing idea, we're going to be so much better off, but if this fails, and that should be, as far as I'm concerned, their entire political career basically comes to an end instantly. There can be no if, and, or buts. But Jacob Rees-Mogg, oh no, I won't resign. I'll just continue on in my, perfectly safe seat. But they won't let anyone examine their plans. They won't put pen to paper and go, this is what we want, this is why we think it will be good, this is what we think the benefits are going to be. And if we had that, then we could go, okay, that's terrible, that's awful, at least we could examine it. And a lot of the people I read, and I've come to this conclusion as well, is that they are doing this whole deadlock thing to get what they want. And that is to be a no-deal Brexit. They want to basically be a no-deal Brexit, because right at the beginning, these guys have basically just said, oh yes, if we're in these negotiating tables, we should just walk out, flip the table and walk out. But numerous times, there have been, every single economist out there is basically, screaming and yelling at the government. And we're going to be doing a video on this, 2 videos, in fact, just to reinforce this. One by the Financial Times, and the other by the, I think it's King's College London, by 2 economics professors from there, on the basic realities and the disaster of what a no-deal Brexit is. Yet these people these hardcore ideologically driven people don't want to come out and say, we want a no-deal Brexit, because if they do, then they will get absolutely murdered for it. So instead, they play this masterful piece of political theatre, saying all these different things, like at the referendum, basically ranging from, oh, we'll go out for WTO rules, which was the no-deal Brexit, all the way to, oh, we'll become like Norway, so we'll stay in the customs union and the single market, we'll just be like Norway. And if you, I've said this before, if you were to poll, if you got everyone who voted to leave, and you were to specifically tell them, ask them what deal they wanted, I guarantee you the winning deal and the idea would be to be like Norway, to stay in the single market and stay in the customs union. Because there were many, many leavers who were advocating this. But then you had the full spectrum of this. And this is why, even now, post the referendum, there was, you know, you've got guys like Dominic Raab, who, no, not Dominic Raab, I'm thinking of two different people there. Yeah, oh, I want to call him Dominic Grieve, but it's not, I can see him. I can see his face. I think it's Dominic Grieve. I think it is. Please God, Dominic Grieve. But yeah, he spent 27 years campaigning for Britain to leave the single market. But when it comes down to it, and he's now got essentially in the position, he has yet to propose a single solid idea of how Britain can achieve this and become better. And this is because they are terrified of people examining and learning the truth. This is why the Brexiteers are so terrified of paper. Because once it's written down, it can be scrutinised, it can be examined, and it will be seen for the absolute disaster and failure that will come to Britain because of a no-deal Brexit. But this is what these ideologues want.